You ever wonder why that delivery date you were promised suddenly gets pushed back? Or why something you just ordered is now somehow out of stock? Well, the way companies make and keep those promises is going through a massive change. It's moving from just a simple reactive check to a seriously powerful strategic command center. Let's get into it. It really all comes down to this one question. We've all been there, right? You get that email and it's super frustrating. But it's often not because a company doesn't care. It's because the tools they were using to make those promises, well, they were built for a much, much simpler world. For decades, this is pretty much what making a delivery promise looked like. You see it here? It was just a simple, straight line. An order comes in, it gets checked, and it gets a spot in the queue. Kind of like ordering at a deli counter. First come, first served. And while that's simple, in today's world, with its crazy complex supply chains, that process is just incredibly fragile. So, let's really dig into why that whole deli counter system just doesn't work anymore. This is the heart of it, what we call the first come, first served problem. This slide really breaks down the three big flaws of that old model. First, you've got the first come, first served rule itself. And what that means is a tiny, frankly unimportant order could show up just seconds before a massive strategic one and just gobble up all the available stock. Second, those confirmations were static. Once a promise was made, it was basically set in stone, completely unable to adapt if, say, a shipment got delayed. And third, the technology itself was slow. These checks often ran overnight, so you were never really looking at a live, up-to-the-minute picture of what you actually had. And here's the huge takeaway from all that. The old system was completely blind. It had no way of telling the difference between your most important multi-million-dollar partner and just some random order. It just didn't have the smarts or the speed to protect the parts of the business that really truly matter. To build a smarter system, you've got to have a faster one first. And a huge leap in technology created the foundation for this whole new world. This is the real-time foundation. I mean, this comparison really says it all. We went from the past, these slow, one after the other batch jobs that would chug along for hours on old-school databases, to the future. Instant, dynamic checks happening on a powerful in-memory database. We're talking about the difference between sending a letter and having a live video call. It's just a whole different ballgame. And this right here is a peek under the hood. On the left, that's the old way, a complex, tangled web of data tables that was always causing slowdowns. But on the right, that's the new, super simplified model in S/4HANA. By having just one single source of truth for the data, all those performance bottlenecks, they just vanished. And that paved the way for making truly real-time intelligent decisions. So, you've got this incredibly powerful, lightning-fast engine. What can you build on top of it? Well, you can build an intelligent command center. And this is it. We've gone from that simple, fragile queue to this, a sophisticated dashboard. This is called Advanced Available to Promise, or AATP for short. And it is not just a better way to check for stock. It is a strategic command and control center for a company's entire book of business. This whole command center is really built on three core ideas. First, there's strategic demand shaping. That's all about proactively deciding who gets to even ask for your inventory. Then there's dynamic fulfillment, which is about confirming those orders intelligently. And finally, you have integrated execution, which is what connects that promise to the real world of getting things made and shipped. Okay, so let's get into some real-world examples of how AITP takes that old, simplistic queue and replaces it with some seriously smart, automated strategy. The first real game changer is this concept of demand shaping. The best way to think about it is like putting a bouncer at the door of your warehouse. So before you even bother to check what's on the shelves, you're making decisions about who gets in, based on a VIP list. It's a totally proactive way to make sure your most important priorities are always protected. And it does this with this really powerful 1-2 punch. On the left, you've got product allocation, which sets a ceiling. This stops any one customer or sales channel from just buying up everything. Then on the right, you have supply protection, which creates a floor. It basically puts a velvet rope around certain stock to guarantee it's there for your most strategic partners. So one limits how much can be bought, and the other guarantees it. So that's awesome for managing new orders as they come in. But what happens when a container ship gets stuck or a factory has a problem after you've already made thousands of promises? The old system would basically just throw its hands up and say, tough luck. And this is where the hero comes in. It's a reprioritization engine called back order processing, or BOP. When something goes wrong, BOP can automatically go back, reevaluate, and reshuffle the entire order list based on your business strategy, not just on who ordered first. You set the rules, you classify your orders, and you hit go. The system then makes sure your most important commitments are taken care of first. And this is where it gets really cool. With BOP, you get these 5 strategic levers. You can tell the system which orders always win and get fully confirmed no matter what. You can decide which ones gain an even better confirmation if possible. You can redistribute limited stock fairly among a group. You can just fill whatever is left for standard orders. And, maybe most importantly, you can tell the system which low-priority orders should lose their confirmation to free up that stock for someone more critical. It's strategic, it's automated, and it is incredibly powerful. Okay, so after all this new tech, all this new logic, what's the actual payoff for the business? What does it all really add up to? Well, that brings us to the strategic dividend. The payoff is huge. By being able to prioritize intelligently, you see a dramatic improvement in your service levels and your on-time delivery. You end up building a supply chain that's way more resilient and agile, one that can actually react to problems. You avoid those costly penalties for missing deliveries, and you make sure that every single thing in your warehouse is being used for its highest strategic purpose, which is just a smarter way to run a business. And this quote from the source material really just wraps it all up perfectly. The whole journey is about moving from just hoping for the best to having real confidence. It's about making promises based not on a simple waiting line, but on a complete, real-time, and strategy-driven view of your entire business. In the end, this technology isn't just about moving boxes around. It's about the very nature of trust between a company and its customers. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that companies can actually make and keep much, much smarter promises, how do you think that will change the way we all shop, build, and decide which brands to trust?